Good evening, everyone, and it is an absolute pleasure to be speaking with you from Dream Books and Films this evening in India. And today we're going to have a little session for all our aspirant writers. As you all know, Dreams Books and Films is here to help a lot of aspirant writers, guide them, mentor them in various programs that we offer, including face-to-face one-on sessions, via Zoom, wherever you are in the world, and that is precisely what helps. The interaction with the mentor to be able to maybe take your book, make it, publish it, edit it. What do you do in the process? Or if you're thinking of taking your script to the screen, whether it is the digital platform or any other, related, if you're thinking of keeping it, till the crisis is over and make it into a film. So there are various dreams that we have. And today I am going to be bringing our chief mentor on screen soon in 10 minutes. Till then, let me talk a little about Dreams, Books and Films. To give a little, little heads up and update to people who may not understand what are we all doing with this and where are we taking this, right? Um, so Dream Books and Films brings all aspiring writers, as some of you are already in touch with us who know, and authors in an exclusive mentor program. It's a boutique creative know-how consulting team, which is at your disposal online. And nowadays everything is online, so I will be reiterating that word. So let's figure out the secrets of how to turn your story into, which you have, or someone else's story, into a book or a film or a web series, which is the most happening thing at the moment, as we all know, and we ourselves are consumers of that content. That will bring you rewards, recognition, money, and happiness. Joy of telling a story, your story to others, is completely a different feeling. And a lot of us have beautiful stories to tell. We want to share, we want to enhance the experience for others, maybe learn out of it. Maybe there's always some takeaway from a story, so why not? So countless people today are celebrated authors, and we know many of them, and have their books turned into films and OTT content, without even half as much as talent many of our people that who have not even taken that route might have, right? So you have always dreamt to be there, but have never quite brought yourself up to it. Now is the opportune time. And if you're a dreamer, have concepts, ideas, business stories for a book, a half-written story, you're a writer somewhere in the path, you know, uh, you need to be able to get a nice mentor or a good, knowledgeable, insightful, experienced mentor who will guide you on that journey and tell you how to take that forward, right? And tell you what it would take, maybe a certain amount of discipline to make it, or maybe you need more help in terms of a ghostwriter, or maybe you need other artists to collaborate with. So where do you go for all this? Whom do you find in the process? Whom can you trust along the journey, who will guide you correctly and not get you off track for certain other commercial reasons? So you're always looking for someone who's trustworthy, who knows the content, who knows what to do on the process, and hence make that correct pitch deck to the OTT platform. Now there is a method to that whole journey, and that's exactly why you need a mentor in a face-to-face session, maybe. And you need to be able to devote the time and energy while the mentor also doing that with you, right? So it is important. That entire process is almost like going back to business school or to but it is now online and available. The experts are available to talk to, right? So Dream Books Films is brings this. You can either take a 4-hour session, you can take a one-on-one session, or you can take an entire 8-day path. Now if you want to turn just make a book out of it, there is a route to it, there is a method to it, there's a process, and not very long. That's the beauty of it. Earlier we used to hear, oh, it's a very long drawn process. Not anymore. So that's where we are there to help you with, connect you to the right publishing fraternity, award winning experts who will mentor you to bring your project to fruition. So this is where art and business will come together to make those dreams of yours and ideas into completed books or scripts for the over the top OTT, as they're called, Netflix, Amazon Prime. So all of us know these terms now. They're not new to us, right? Since just the past whole year, we've just come face to face in our closure times with these terms and with these facts that are happening. So today, Dreamsbooksfilms will be in conversation with one of our chief mentors, and I'm going to bring him onto the platform once he joins. We have received a lot of questions from a lot of you out there asking certain very pertinent, very, very interesting, very relevant questions as to how to do this whole process. Right. So I'm going to take those up with our chief mentor who will be joining us soon. So I would say, make your project market ready. This is the place. And present it to content creators, digital platforms, studios. Now, some of us don't even know these things, or even acquisition departments. So where do you go? Whom do you call? Whom do you write to? If I call and write, they don't answer. So this is the pain in the process. Not anymore. We don't have to live in that world where there is no guidance, where you don't know who to turn to. Oh my God, it's a big creative industry. Whom do we actually trust? Do they to charge a lot of money? As a scriptwriter, as a content developer, or as a storyteller, as a novice, you should not be fearing or worrying about this, right? So let me just check. So these are the questions that today we will be talking about and addressing some of those questions. Now, in Dreamsbooksfilms, we also do a couple of things. We've got very senior mentors to mentor you if you want a ghostwriter. I know a lot of questions have come to us asking us, um, see, I have a concept and an idea, but I don't know how to write. I'm not a literature student. Maybe I was an electronic student, or writing is just not my cup of tea. And can I get somebody to write for me? I love this story on concept. It's very powerful. You feel it within you. You know it when you have a story. You know it when you have good content, right? So you want to bounce it off. Now, most often, experienced writers, poets, everyone, they bounce off their work with a lot of people, right? So there are blogs, there are websites nowadays, there are groups, book clubs, where you can bounce off and say, listen, this is a story I have. I'd like to read out a synopsis of it to you. What do you think about it? Okay. You just might say, what do you think? How does this sound in this book? And after that, you're like, some of them would say yes. Now, if they're all your friends, they will of course love it, right? That's the common thing that happens. They're going to say like, okay, if Candy has written a book, it's like, Candy, what an idea. You should go out there and make a film out of it, or a web series. Now, not necessary that would actually qualify. Friends are nice people. They are well-meaning individuals. They are your well-wishers. You need that encouragement. Yes, we do need that push. We need that kick. We need that spark. We need that encouragement on this journey, which isn't an easy journey. That's when you think, okay, if it's such a good idea and 20 of my friends like it and they've said, wow, maybe change this, maybe make it more interesting here, maybe put more shock value in some parts, or those feedback that we get. I'm sure all of us have been on that journey. A lot of us, right? I know a lot of us in these times, in the lockdown times, and I think the whole past year, people have got some, after all the chores are done, or maybe you're helping your parents or helping your spouse or your children study, you've had that 1 hour to yourself, or maybe 10 minutes, and you've been sitting and writing, right? You're writing even paragraphs, like this is time, and you feel that urge. Some write, some just talk into their phone and say, maybe I should just capture this idea, right? So do that. If you've been contemplating that, get down to doing it. Now, you don't know, that's just a seed. Now, making the seed and planting it and continuing watering that particular space and then making something out of it, okay, is what you need help with. Now, not necessary that Candy, that who had the idea and 20 of her friends liked it, is necessarily ready to be pitched to a digital platform or an OTT platform. Not necessary. Now, why is that the case? Now, it could be that I have a fabulous story like, let's say, which is the recent one you all are seeing, I think, Pooja Bhatt's, right? Bombay women or something, right? So that one, see, I don't even remember the name. But or if you're thinking of some other, right, Kite Runner or any of those beautiful ones we've seen before. Now, if you have been writing, if you've written that and you know you've got a story, you need a certain method to be able to capture the attention of a digital player. Now, how does that one do that? Do I just write a mail? Do I just call up somebody? Pick up the phone and say, okay, I have a beautiful story. And are they having the time to listen to you? Why should they listen to you? Why should they even pick up that mail and say, okay? I mean, how do you make that mark? How do you differentiate? Does it have to be a wow looking pitch deck? Or can it be just a simple synopsis on a document and I send? But who do I send it to? Who's going to actually read that? Who's going to tell me that, yeah, Candy, maybe after 1 month we'll talk, and this is how much it's going to take, and what else do you need to know? Hey, you can't just go with a script. Now, so the whole ecosystem around making that book, okay, or making that story into something which is ready for an OTT player or a digital platform, a person who the decision maker to make that decision that Candy's story is a great story, and we can, we would like to commission it, we would like to put people behind it and make it into web series, or make it into something which is, sellable and people want to watch it. Remember, we always have to remember that our story is our baby. So we love our own stories, right? Some of us do. And not necessarily that it might be the most demanding story out there that people want to see. Now, how do you know that? How do you know that it's the most demanding story that people want to see? Where do you get those answers? How do I know now? Candy said 20 friends of hers like those stories, they love it, but they don't know, but she doesn't know, right? She's sitting in the dark because she thinks, wow, 20 friends have said Candy's story is wonderful. Now, how does Candy know that that is actually in demand? She doesn't know that. She finds somebody in Netflix and says, okay, I have a lovely story, I want to make it into a web series, all gung-ho about it, like most of us are. And then they say, no, lady, this is not what we're looking for. This is not in demand. Just in case I get a meeting and they actually, listen to my story and they say, they don't think it's what is in demand. Unfortunately, however nice your story may be, okay, let's take it that Candy has a nice story, right? And just example, let's think of Kabuliwala, which was some 50 years ago, right? We heard that story. It's a very sad story. We know the story. And but nobody in the Netflix world today wants to see a Kabuliwala. They want to see something else. So who is going to tell you what is in demand? What is the trend? What do you do? Where do you take it? Who's going to advise you on how it should look? Can I just take a Word document and say, okay, I have a phenomenal story? No. Now, that particular whole world, which was a little nebulous, and let me call it amorphous, or something which we didn't know, it was a black box earlier. Now, this black box is suddenly in demand since 14, 16 months now. We've been sitting at home. The digital platforms have taken over our world and our life, and people are, now worried about the mental wellness of people who are constantly, binging on these, right? But you have no choice. What do? You can't look at each other's faces. You have to look at a screen and just go through that, right? Now, that's a blessing. Let me tell you, that is a different blessing in a different way. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to ask these pertinent questions. We've received a lot of questions. I'm not going to be taking all of them. I'm going to take a few of them today. We have an hour with our chief mentor who's going to be joining us. I think he's already joined us. And so as I walked you through this whole journey just now, okay, as a novice writer, right? We are all our novices till we actually reach there, right? Even after we reach there, we don't even know what we have maybe missed out. You just go with blinkers. They've bought my story. It's going to be on web series, and that's it. Who knows the next one's going to happen or not? So we really don't know the game. Today, the game has become a very, let me say the game in a positive word, has become a very structured, formatted, disciplined process, unlike earlier. So it is not a fraying your nerves, get fettered and you get very upset that nobody is taking my story. I have read a lot of your mail saying, such a fabulous story, no one likes it, where do we go? So there is a price one has to pay. There's a price. Not when I say price, it means your time, your energy, maybe your rejections, maybe your sadness, maybe your time, and that determination that, yes, I want an OTT player to take my web series because I know what I'm talking about. I know it's going to be in demand. And that's when the mentor comes in from our side in Dream Books and Films and tells you, listen, this is the gap. We need to fill this gap for you to be able to be even noticed by this OTT play, and we'll help you on the journey. We will continue from here together. Now, if you're looking for that kind of a partner, a collaboration, a synergy as a mentor, Dream Books Films gives you that. Whether it's a book or you have a story in your head or just a kida kind of a seed in your head, this is a place to be, and you've got the right people. You do not have to be worried. Somebody is here to jip you, show you some other, avenue, take you here and there. No. So that professionalism is what you're looking for, and that's what we're here to give you. So now I'm going to introduce our chief mentor, and send in your questions while we're talking, because this is meant for you. This is this kind of a program where even if you type in the questions, I'm going to try and read it out as your presenter on your behalf. And I'm going to present some of the questions that have already come to us. I'm going to introduce our chief mentor and bring him on screen as well. Uh, Let me just add him to the stream. Good evening, Mr. Brahmanand Singh.
Good
Can you hear
evening.
me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Hi. Good
I
evening. Good
have.
evening, and welcome to be with us from Dream Books and Films. You're our chief mentor. I will just take 30 seconds to introduce you. I know a lot of us have been looking forward to this session. And I know I don't need to introduce Mr. Brahmanand Singh. If you just Google him, you'll find out a lot more than what I'm going to say. But, in respect and with great regard, I would like to. Mr. Brahmanand Singh is an award-winning filmmaker, an author, and our chief mentor on Dream Books Films. He's our chief advisor, and he's a Rex Karmavir Chakra awardee and a national award-winning producer, filmmaker, author, and speaker. Mr. Singh is a veteran in the film industry, as many of us know him personally as well. He is known for his expertise and ideation capacity in developing projects, exploring tie-ups, license, funding, financing, making impact at festivals, markets, and business opportunities. He wears different hats, like that of an entrepreneur, producer, filmmaker, writer, and mentor. He currently helms countless projects, and to get onto his track and his calendar, he gives us that time as a part of
Polite.
being, making sure Dream Books and Films is able to support our writers and our, countless projects that we have from start to finish, and he knows the nitty-gritty of project development. He is the author of 4 best-selling books and co-authored a similar number of national and international books. He has also published over 3,000 articles of 20 prominent newspapers, magazines, and journals in India and overseas. Known even for making award-winning feature films and documentaries like many of you would have seen Pancham Unmixed on R.D. Burman, Jagjit Singh's biopic, the docu-biopic Kagaz Ki Kashti on human trafficking and child labor, Jhalki, and backpacking, traveling, educational excellence. Now, all the topics are under his hat. Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, and many others. So, this our chief mentor, the plethora of knowledge and the areas of expertise are broad and wide. So that helps a lot of our different, genres that we're going to be talking about. He's a much sought after consultant on many creative projects. So making use of his time is our utmost, let me say, leverage is our utmost privilege, and we need to take advantage of it. He is the CEO of Mobius Films and Mobius Biopics. It is great to be discussing Dream Books and Films with you today, Mr. Singh, to navigate this journey from concept, dream, story to a completed book or a film. Now, that's a dream of all of us, and navigating the high seas of the digital wave. Welcome, and let's begin. So, what would you like to say, Ramananji, to begin with?
Great pleasure to be here. And well, this is what we all have been doing, we all do, and we all aspire to do. Where you think of an idea, and thousands of us think of an idea, but how do you shape it? How do you nurture it? How do you grow it? How do you flesh it? How do you critically analyze it? How do you mature it like rich wine and take it to the point of visibility, whether it's books, whether it's films, whether it's business? This is by itself a subject, that anyone would be obsessed with, is passionate about, And I think that all of us do it in different ways. There is no one particular rule to do it. You do things, you fail, you learn. What you can do is you can do a little better if you take on the collective knowledge of people who have done it, people who do it, people who understand it. And that's the only thing that I would say that a mentor or a guide does. You know, eventually you have to walk the path, you have to face your own demons, you have to face your own failures, you have to rejoice in your own success and achievements. But yes, a little bit of understanding, a little bit of help uh, definitely helps you overall. And we all have learned it the hard way. There is no way, that someone can mentor you and that means that, wow, it's magic. You have to put in the hard work, you have to put in, and you have to differ with your mentor. If you're capable, you can do it in some other way, but that differing comes from an area of understanding, knowledge, not of ignorance. That, okay, I don't agree with you. You have said it makes great sense, maybe for you, but for me, I think I'll travel this way. But it comes from, known choices, from an area of knowledge, like I said, and not at all from ignorance. So you go beyond rules, not away from rules, and that's it. That's where lies the trick.
Oh,
So
well
over to
said.
you.
Beyond rules. So, any all of us who are making notes, please make notes because this is like nuggets and nuggets. And I know as creative writers and people like to call ourselves creative nowadays because all of us are sitting in enclosures and forced to write, forced to think. So everyone's now having that potential bursting forth, and rightly so. And so we have. I'm going to begin with the first question, given the limited time, Brahmananji, that for all kinds of writers, storytellers, whether we're novices or been there, done that, to be able to put these stories out there on the OTT channels. And OTT, again, I'll repeat, is over the top, and that's Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar, whichever, right? So, what are the current trends in the genre and types of stories or scripts, as you want to call them, that are being chosen by the top OTT players? And how do you see this trend play out in the next 12 to 15 months?
Okay. So one thing that will always work and has been working, and it's a genre by itself, I feel, is excellence, top quality. Now, that's a genre by itself. You can, subdivide it into many genres and trends and things like that. Anything that you do extraordinarily well will get picked. There is no doubt about that. Having said that, there are, flavor of the season trends and, you know, uh, popularity segments and things like that. So in that sense, OTTs by and large, they look for something which is interesting, exciting, which is a little different from the regular way in terms of its approach, in terms of its treatment, in terms of its zing, in terms of its edge, in terms of its aesthetic quality. And that is the difference I would feel that exists between television, and especially Indian television, and the OTT, in the sense that when Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu serial and other things 10, 15 years back would be made at a budget of 20 lakh and 30 lakh, and we would consider, wow, that's really great. You had, X Files in Hollywood, which was made at 1.5 million per episode at that point of time. And we would always find it unbelievable, that, wow, even if we had this kind of a budget, we would have it. We could make an X Files and things like that. But later on, as you mature, you realize that it's not a question of budget alone. Budget matches your idea. Your idea has to be first. Your treatment, your approach, your clarity. and then it has to translate into budgets. Uh, the good part is that when the OTT started coming in, budgets started
Mm.
opening up a little bit. Okay, and there were no dearth of funds. There were no dearth. If your subject deserves it, they were willing to go that extra mile. They were willing to sanction. They would look for excellence. They would look for that extra something which could, see, understand that you must understand the basics. So Netflix, Amazon, they have, for many of you who are listening and have come across this, they, uh, who do they consider their biggest competitors? Netflix doesn't consider Amazon or Hotstar, Disney as their competitor, or Apple. They consider sleep to be their biggest competitor. So they are fighting sleep, you know. So you can understand it takes a lot to keep you hooked, to keep you, you know, like I'll tell you, for example, a serial like The Snake, okay, that's going on Netflix. Now, I have been doing my best to see that in the fast forward mode, and I cannot. Now, that is called a page turner, where every minute, and that is where I go back to what uh, a very interesting person like Salman Rushdie says, that eventually, well, you may think of all the rules and regulations, but the only rule is how can it be interesting every single minute, every single page, every single frame. Okay. If you are able to do that, then you can do away with all the rules and regulations. So to reach that stage, it takes an enormous amount of effort, time, intelligence, know-how, expertise, skill, to know the audience psychology, to know the and thereby the OTT needs. OTT needs is, will the audience see it without uh, doing anything else, without sleeping, so to say. So I think that's where one needs to understand that. So the trend is over the edge, sometimes horror, sometimes, of course, they love scandalous stuff, they love sensational stuff. There is no doubt about that. But what they are essentially looking is how engaging, how exciting something you can make. And there's so much of stuff, that every single idea that you think is great idea and absolutely original idea, most chances, 99.8% of them, is not really that sensational or that great. I mean, they are great in potential, but it needs to flower, it needs to develop, it needs to. So in terms of trend, it's mostly something which lends itself, if you're talking about series, 6 to 8 part, 10-part series of 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes kinds, and much more than the series if it lends to seasons. So if it lends to 3 season, 4 season, Game of Thrones, for example, if you have that kind of a potential scope, then wow, that's great. Let's talk about it. Let's hear that out. If you're talking about one-off, well, 4-part series, they're not that interested. They can be interested if it's great. And then there are movies, there are films. Okay, so films have replaced theatrical films. Some of the biggest stars, and the war today is that of star. Get me a big concept, get me a big star, budgets are not a problem, we will put in. Okay, so in fact, Amazon, Netflix, they're all vying for big star tentpole projects, as they call it. So these are these projects big projects? Okay, do they have big stars? Okay, so those are the trends, so to say. In terms of genre,
So
thrillers
if
always work, emotional stories always work. But these genres, so to say, these trends keep changing because now they are fed up of Mirzapur, they're fed up of guns and gore and blood. So even they are looking at slice of life, romance, a little, peaceful kind of an entertainment, so to say. So all these things keep changing, but quality remains permanent. You must create excellent stuff. How do you do that is where the game lies.
Okay, so interesting. You answered very well said. I mean, that's the depth we were looking for, and that's what you bring to the table, right, Mr. Singh? So you mentioned one thing, and that is that the trend could be, like you were trying to see snake. It should have to be very, very so engaging that a person doesn't, shift or go to some place else. Must continue watching. That's exactly what they want you hooked there, right? Uh, how do we know that we are at that space? How does one, a storyteller or a writer, know exactly that, okay, I have something, like, because everyone finds their own baby very good, right? How does one know that? Where does that insight come in?
So there are two ways. Whatever you have, reach out to them, and they will not respond. Or they will respond with a tiny regret in most cases, because there are exceptional cases always. But I'm saying by and large, mostly. The other is that you connect with someone who knows the game, who understands the game, and who helps you develop it. It takes a lot of effort to reach it to the stage where you can take it to an OTT. There is no guarantee. There is no guarantee of anything, but the probability increases much more. If the probability earlier maybe was 8 or 12 or 15 or 25, now the probability starts out at 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, and so on. So I think the best way that I have found people around me working is when they connect with someone who knows the game, who are
Mhm.
well connected with OTT, and they're not well connected in terms of personal influence just, but who knows how to shape something, how to tell you that no, this is not yet right. You may think it's great, but they will ask you these questions. They will. This is how they look at things. You must understand, and you must make it OTT ready, or market ready, or pitch ready, so to say. And that happens with every single project. I mean, even as filmmakers, we develop the project to a point where there are funders. Even before OTT came into picture, you had to develop a project mature enough, rich enough. You had to be convinced about it, and it should sound good. So the thing of script took shape. Presentations started. Of course, they are just getting more and more and more and more rigorous. Like the script that some of the finest filmmakers have made in the past. I always say that if it's left to the scrutiny for a panel at OTT or some funding organization and all, 8 out of 10 chances that they won't work. Whether it's script of Kurosawa or Antonioni or Fellini or you know even Spielberg, it may not work. Um, but those are realities. You have to just make it so good and so convincing, and you must be so convinced about it, and that does not happen in just one draft or a skeleton or a synopsis. Okay, it takes months. First you take up an idea, you live with it. So that's one part of the story. Now, whether you have lived with it for 4 years or 10 years or 3 months, it depends entirely on the obsession of it, the passion, the intensity of thought that you have devoted to it. The second comes putting it down something on paper. There are many people who say, "Oh, I have great ideas in my head," but there's no system yet where you can put a cable in your head and see it on the screen straight away as to what it looks like in terms of its dramatic outcome, in terms of its drama, in terms of its visual uh, um, expanse, in terms of its visual elements. So, first, what you do is start writing down, right? Write down on a paper, write, develop it into a synopsis, a treatment, a script, and then the script undergoes many changes, and you first take care of these things at the treatment level. Now there are many people who don't understand the difference between a synopsis and a treatment. I have scripts come to me and projects come to me where a synopsis is like 3.5 pages, and what they call treatment is 1 page, and by treatment they think that it's all about camera and sound, and so so there are certain norms, there are certain rigors. So you need to be familiar with those. You need to work in tandem with people who know, people who are mentors, people who are consultants, people who have known the scenario and are aware of how it works, how it doesn't work. And it's not to say that exceptions are not allowed. Anything that I say, I'm saying only for 98% of the situation. There can be an exception here, there can be an exception there, there can be someone who has never followed any of these and has hit it big and things like that. But that happens once in a very big while. Okay. But mostly what happens is you understand these things by people who know, people who can help you, people who can guide you, people who can guide you without prejudice. It's your stuff only, it's your creative mind, it's your passion, it's your vision. But someone who can ask you those 20 questions in different ways, and you have never thought about it. You have never thought about 15 of those 20 questions or 5 of those 20 questions, and you say, wow, great, I never saw it like this. Great, let me work on it. And then you work on it, and then it becomes better. Then the same thing happens. After 3 drafts, maybe the script you are very happy about, but something now is not working, which was working earlier. So it's a big jigsaw, which is why mostly 10 to 15 to 20 drafts is a very average workout for the script. But having at least
At this
written
point, can I ask?
two or
Can I
three
ask you?
drafts, yes, yeah.
At this point, since you mentioned, is it necessary then that one needs to, get training and all that, or can we just rely on this Dream Books Films brings you as the chief mentor? Can we just rely on you and say, okay, so this is what I have now, take me through the journey? Or do I need to get trained and I have to learn where I don't have the patience? Nowadays, youngsters,
But
middle age, no one's having the patience.
yeah, but this is training, this is journey. Na? Any training is a journey. Something that if you go to a film school or a writer's school is taught to you over a three year period in a very generalized way first, and then specific way, and then specialized way, and things like that. Here you are straight away delving into your focus area, that I need to do this. Now tell me,
Hmm.
I'm reasonably intelligent. I'm reasonably intelligent. If you can guide me, help me, I think I have it in me to come out with something. I'm dying to say this story. I mean, there have been any number of filmmakers, any number of writers who have never been to a writing school or a filmmaking school. But it's not that they have not learned, you know. Um, who has that brilliant line? I think it's someone who said that I'm my learning faculty is on 24/7, but I don't necessarily like to be taught. And there are many people who have you know a reluctance to learn in a formal way. But it's not that they're not learning. Okay, there are many people who want to and who come to tell you and who tell you that don't tell me good things, tell me what's not working. Okay, and those are the people who learn fastest. Those are great
Yeah, yeah,
leaders.
yeah,
Those are great
yeah,
entrepreneurs. They are successful. They're successful because they have chosen to be not in their comfort zone. Your comfort zone gives you great comfort. as a simple. It gives you a very nice ground, but it also gives you a ceiling. It gives you
Yeah.
a,
Yeah.
a limitation. So when you're not in your comfort zone, that ceiling is not there. It opens up and the sky is beautiful. So you head for that pie in the sky, and you do much better when you are provoked, when you are troubled, when someone tells you that no, this is not working. And even when you are trying to convince him or her, what you are doing
Hmm.
is constantly thinking. And if there is something that you are not that you are spotting, all of a sudden you will take a back seat. If you're an intelligent person, you'll say yes, oh, thank you very much for telling me this, I had not seen it that way. So a little less of ego, a little more of openness, and your willingness to focus on your project getting better and better is the key. If you're of that kind, you will do very well. And it does not mean that you have to agree on everything. It does not at all mean that you have to agree on everything. But like even in filmmaking, when a filmmaker like me differs with an editor who's a great value add to the film, we have a very simple rule that, look, wherever we disagree, either you convince me or I convince you. You know, again, I'm reminded of Rumi,
Hmm.
who talks
Yeah.
about
That's with
in,
every.
in,
Yeah.
in increasing the quality of your thoughts, quality of your arguments. When you differ, don't shout,
Yeah.
don't scream,
Yeah.
because when you scream, it's like. And the next line is even better, which says that
Hmm.
flowers bloom not because of the thunder, but because of the rain. So we are talking about rain. We are talking about a spongy mind. We are talking about a mind that is willing to learn, adopt, seek help. One of the bravest things that anyone can do, I feel, is seek help. It's greatly underestimated, this capacity in a human being. If a person seeks help in any form, it's not because he's weak, because he's strong. He wants to do things. He does not want to settle for a compromise. So anyone who seeks help, who has the courage to seek help, is already in step two of the thing. And then starts with the way you open-mindedly listen, understand, work on it. Be ready to hear that no, it's not working. Be ready to think why it's not working. Be ready to give it back to your mentor that I think it's working. Okay, and so on and so forth. So basically, it's a nice, interesting, exciting journey to create something. And it's not easy. It's not a 10-hour job. It takes time. It's very organic. There are things that you don't see today, you'll see it 5 weeks later. You yourself will see it. So it's very organic. You have to be open. You have to love the process of working. And it's great to interact with mentors. All of us have had mentors. I refuse to believe if anyone says that no, he's self taught completely. Nobody is completely self taught. In some way or the other. Even Eklavya had a mentor. Okay, he may not have received the lesson, okay, directly, but he was
So
learning. Yeah.
So at that point, I would like to say, as a dream. I mean, this whole platform is for taking the mentorship for your own script and for your own story at whatever stage of people who are watching and who will watch this mentoring actually that is happening. This is not just a live session. There is the second question which has come up is related to all of this and the current play that's happening with the OTT players. And that's the most what do you call it, crucial discussion we keep seeing in the trend of the questions is what are some of these myths attached to a story or script to being selected by the, like you just said, okay, there's a certain genre, and there should be certain depth to that and you work with it. But what is the constant myth that a storyteller or a person can have, which one should really remove out of the mind? As soon as one says, okay, I want to take the help of a mentor, I will do my one-on-one session with him, or and take my a script and take their help to make my script into what it needs, the development of it, right? But what is that one or two myths that you've seen with writers, you're dealing with so many of them, that you see that comes across constantly as a stumbling block?
With writers,
Yep, yep.
with writers, with filmmakers, and with business people. Okay, one of the, I won't say it's a myth, but one of the debilitating factors that I have sensed is that there are more people who love to follow a trend rather than believe in their vision. Now, when you have a vision, when you have an idea, when you have a concept, you normally are ahead of your time because you have a vision. You can see far. When you follow a trend, you are a follower. By the time you have ended up doing something on that, the trend runs out. And you are in a very odd fix. That, oh my God, I've worked so much. But now bell bottom has gone out of fashion and drain pipe trousers have come in fashion. What do I do of my bell bottom? If I wear, I look funny. If I don't wear, it's a waste of effort, and so on and so forth. So I feel that the biggest myth is that this sells and this does not sell. Okay. The biggest reality is that anything which you have done in a great way, excellent ways, compelling way, make it so powerful, so compelling that it will sell. Okay. And fortunately, we live in an age today
And
where there
that's
are
what you'll help us do.
multiple multiple platforms, multiple options. If one does not publish, another will publish. I mean, take for example books, right? I mean, there have been any number of, in fact, like before the email age started,
Hmm.
rejections in the post bag used to be a most exalted things by the writers. Oh, I was refused by 17 publishers,
Hmm.
200 publishers, and then someone published. It's a great story. After that, after someone has published it, believe you me, till then it's very frustrating, and it's very horrible when you go through that experience. But you have to be believing in your stuff. You have to constantly keep it developing, keep it getting better, better, better. I mean, a completely new concept, like I was in a breakfast session with Jack Canfield, the man behind uh, the chicken soup series, Soul of the Chicken Soup series. And he said 125 publishers rejected him. 125. And out of those 125, most of them said that, the trend is that of short non-fiction. Give us non-fiction, short stories. That will sell. You are talking about short fiction. Then give us long fiction, long non-fiction. Short non-fiction does not sell. Bikta nahi hai, chalta nahi hai. About 10 of them said, yeah, looks interesting, but can you do something about the name of your series? Chicken soup, soul, bada ajeeb sa naam hai. And he had his emotional reason for that. His grandmother, okay, used to have used to have a solution. Whoever went for any with any problem, she was, in her 80s, and she would say, have you tried to have some chicken soup? Go and have some chicken soup. So whether it's a monetary, mess that you are in, whether it's a creative mess you are in, whether you are a relationship mess you are in, she would order chicken soup. Okay. Now this element was very personal. He had, so you need to believe in your personal stories, personal convictions, and well, he waited. He learned how to take no from people. 125 publishers, and 126 publisher, when it published, today it's crossed half a billion copies. Okay, in 33 languages translated or something like that. There's a chicken soup series for every damn thing today. So how do you? I mean, You have people like Jeffrey Archer, whose first book, Not a Penny More, Not a Penny Less, received 16 rejections, and 17th person published it. It was not a very big hit as such. He made it big with Cain and Abel, which ran into millions. But he learned a lot, and he never gave up. Suppose he would have given up on the 14th and he would have gone back to join a bank and remained an officer there, he would have given up on a career that is hugely successful today and hugely rewarding, I would say. Success is a reward of these things, because success is not just money, it's the kind of branding that you get, and that is the way people look at you around, is the kind of sense of fulfillment that you experience. So success is the combination of so many things. Money is one of them. Okay. So how these people have to wait, sometimes have to believe in what they are doing, are convinced about it, and then take others' helps, then keep on developing it, then keep on sharpening it, sharpening the edges, smoothening the edges, you know. And
So
so those are the keys. Yeah.
no, well
So
said. I
coming,
mean, I think the examples you gave, Brahmanandji, about Jack Canfield is a classic example actually. I think of simplicity, panning out with his own passion attached to it, which is what we are all made of. These are our own stories. We bring it. We think we not much of it. Some people have low self-esteem and some have an extremely high ego, right? There's a
yeah.
spectrum where when you're a writer. At what stage can a story writer or a novice or a well established author done it once? Now I don't know if my book is ready to touch the OTT platform, right? Everyone's aspiring now to be there, and oh my god, I could have told that story, better maybe.
Mhm.
At what
Mm.
stage can a story or a writer, he or she, when do they know they're ready to approach an OTT to sell their script, and how easy or difficult is this process? Can you help us understand this, in
Yeah. So
practical terms, because you are our mentor on this?
right, right. So there are certain ways to do it. Okay. Number one, an OTT seldom accepts a book. An OTT is not a producer; it's a commissioner. Okay, they either buy ready-made stuff or they commission you. Okay, so again, 99% they will not be very excited if you send them your novel and saying that I want a film out of it, I want a series out of it. Okay, if there are books like that, it's normally in there and it's big branded books. Vikram said it's a suitable boy, which Mira Nair has taken up, and things like that. But again, OTT recommends, but you need a producer first. So first
Right.
important uh, step will be, for anyone who wants their book to be converted to OTT, is to hook up with producers or directors, either directors or producers themselves, or directors, if they're passionate about it, they will find a producer. Okay, once you have a producer attached, then again, book is a book, it's different from a series or a film. There are a lot of work that goes into that, 100 page of script, where you see more whites compared to a novel. But believe me, it's very hard work. It's very hard work. It does not come very easy. And one of the biggest challenges of book to film or web series is, while writing a description of a character, when you are describing how that character is looking at himself in the mirror, maybe you can drift into the next three paragraphs about what's going on in his mind. Okay, now in cinema, you either do voiceover of what's going on in his mind, or the more accepted form, the more respected form is action, behavior. What behavior do you give him? What action do you? Now that takes time to think and to write and to create equivalence, which is why you'll find that in spite of those efforts, certain books uh, feel better than films, and certain films feel better than books. It depends entirely on the potential of these two slightly different. They're very close to each other as genres, but book remains slightly different from films. Film remains slightly different from books. It's a very they're brother sister, so they can come close to each other. They can adapt to each other. They can understand each other, but they are different.
So if one has a script, do I need to, if I have a script, do I need to make a book and then do an OTT, or should I just take the script with whatever I have and help get someone to help me as a mentor
If
that, okay, I'll take it
you
out for
have,
you and put people behind it? How does that
yeah,
work?
yeah.
Just
No,
the
no.
script.
If you have a script, then you are already one step ahead. If you have a book, then you need to convert it into a script. Okay, or
Okay.
and
Okay.
so that's a process. Now you need not convert it into a script. Okay, you need to impress a writer, a producer, okay, an agent
Uh-huh.
who may yes, and there are proper matchmaking of these things that have started happening. There are proper platform in film festivals and literary festivals where a published author gets an opportunity to pitch his or her book uh, for films, for series, and there are lots of producers, lot of directors who then, if they like that 10-minute, 15-minute, 20-minute of 5 minute of pitch and 5 minute of why this must be made into a film or a series, then what they do is they strike one-on-one meeting in a very organized way. There are coordinators who do that for you, and they give you half an hour, 1 hour, whatever, and after that you take it up from there. If you want, they'll give you half an hour of formal meeting, but you can always have a 2 hour meeting after that once you have connected with each other. So what happens is, if you have a script, you're already one step ahead. You need to find a producer. You need to either become a producer yourself, invest money, make more money, or find a producer who believes that it can be done. And that belief has to come from you. You have to convince him or her, or you have to find a director. Again, him or her will find a producer or will produce it himself or herself. So, this is one.
So
If you
Brahmanandji,
have,
so
yeah,
at this point, since you said find a producer, I'm asking you this: why does would I need as a writer? I just don't know how to do this, so I've come to you, and then what
mhm,
happens? There is no forum at the moment, right? Online and all this is going on, this whole chaos in the world. So now what
mhm,
do? I want to take it, and I know I have a fabulous idea. I come to Brahmanandji. What do I
yeah.
do next? Do I need to keep some money ready? Do I need to talk to you? Do I need to go running around finding a producer? What happens?
Well, money is a question of convenience. Okay, either you have someone you know who you can go to who will not uh, either you can make 40 phone calls yourself and 60 phone calls yourself and hear no from 59 people, and the 60th person will say yes to you. Okay, or you can find someone who helps you write that. If you find that, again, there are two ways. One is you can strike a bond with the writer, say that, well, sorry, I don't have any money right now, but if it gets selected, I will pay you an X amount. Okay. This was quite common. This is still common, though it's increasingly lessening because all good writers have put a price on themselves. Or you have writers who have branded themselves as writers who are
I think we've lost the connection. Uh, can you see me, Mr. Singh? Are you able to hear me? We've lost voice. Just give us a moment. I cannot hear you. Not sure why. Can you hear us, Ramananji?
Hello. Yes. Good.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Are
Can you
we on?
hear me? I
Yeah, I can
think,
hear you.
yeah,
I
we lost some connection time.
Yes.
The last
Yes.
sentence.
Yeah. So can you rewind to where we were, and I can
Yeah,
continue from
yeah,
there.
the
Yes.
point was, see, I have a script or just a
Yes.
story,
Yes.
fleshing
Yes.
it out, finding not just a producer but a film. Do I need to, as a person who has a story, I don't understand this filmmaker, who to cast, what to do. I might
Uh,
think Manoj Vajpayee is very good, but when I go to a mentor, they will guide me in casting. They'll guide me to bring, I mean, casting is the last step maybe, but what all needs to be done in that whole train journey? I mean,
yeah.
that's something I don't
So
know.
so
I just
listen.
write.
Yeah. Yes. So I was talking about that when you have to turn it into a script. When you have a writer, you can
Hmm.
strike a deal saying that I'll pay you later, or you pay the I was explaining the irony that what was true even 5, 7, 10 years back is increasingly lessening. Today, who are good writers, they put a price of some kind on themselves, that look, you want to take my time, you want to use my expertise, I will be charging you an X amount. We can work out whatever we charge, but it can be less or more in consideration that yes, I'll take this amount, I'll take that amount, but something has to be put for the value that I put on my time. Number one. Two is that anybody, basically, the ball game has become that either you do it yourself, and there is nothing that stops you from doing it yourself. But it's a complicated way. You'll have five dead ends before you find one, you know, or you have mentors. What these mentors or consultants or specialized people have is they have a top angle view of things, so they can see the maze before you run into blind ends and then change your path and then waste another 3 months and then take a new road uh, to reach another dead end and waste another 4.5 months, and in the process lose 1.5 years and say that, wow, I've been trying for such a long time, but they don't have a taste for my kind of script, they don't understand the genius of it. And all of it might be true, but it could also be because you have not seen the dead ends. You so what these mentors and guides mostly do, and not always, not 100%, but mostly 98, 99%, is that they have a top angle view of things, so they can see where the dead ends are. So it helps you. So the moment you are getting into a dead end a la lane, they will tell you, hold on, change it, not that route, go to the next one might again be a dead end, and they say that don't try second, third, fourth, try the fifth one. Okay, fifth one I can see is clear. And so this is the role that a mentor, an agency, a consultant does, and that is what they charge people for. So if you have some money, if you have too much of time, have the luxury of making mistakes and learning, or maybe you'll not make a mistake, maybe you'll pass straight away, or make mistake and learn. If you have money and less time, then I would suggest the second way, that is, you put in a fees, you hire the right people, and again, there's no guarantee. 98% they don't, 2% they may not, but 98% they do. So they have a way, they have a certain understanding, and then the journey is of a different kind. You may also not always have money yourself, but you may have a well wisher, you may have someone who believes in you, who may say that, okay, it needs 5 lakh, it needs 15 lakhs, okay, I'll put in, I believe in you. When you get the money, please give it back. A lot of people do this. It's known as development stage. What a lot of people do is, I have myself done very recently a project which is based for a Paris based person, and he has put in a money, but i've I've not raised bills to him. I've not raised GST. I've not raised taxes on that, because he he conceived of it as a loan, internal loan. And he said that the moment the project gets commissioned, this amount goes back to that person with whatever little more you may want. So it's like a loan. It's like a temporary loan which you need in development. The only risk it is, what if you spend some money and it does not get picked by the OTTs or a producer? So there is a good chance of that, but that chance is very, very little. If you have
But
worked
that
hard,
you
if
would
you
have
have,
told us in the journey, right, Brahmanandji? You would have told us this in the journey, saying, Candy, your story sucks. No one wants this. No one wants to
no,
listen to
yeah,
caterpillars.
but you see, the story sucks does not mean it can't be improved, right? So when you had like when Asutosh went, it's in public domain now, so I can talk about it. When Asutosh went with Lagan, Asutosh Gowarikar had met two of my friends in a train in a film festival to Hyderabad that we were traveling to, and we were all very good friends. And she had asked him ki, so he had already made two or three films by then, and they were not very successful films. One of them had even Amir Khan in it, but they were like complete trash films compared to what Asutosh was capable of making. And then so they asked him, and he said that मैं कुछ लिख रहा हूँ, which I'm not supposed to divulge right now. So one of our friends that I know, I still remember the line. She said that ऐसा भी क्या लिख रहे हो कि बता नहीं सकते हो. Okay, and they all smiled. And when he wrote that script and he went to Amir, Amir dismissed that script. Okay, he rubbished that, and he said, "Go and write it properly, and then come back." And he realized it, and it took 3 months more, 4 months more, 5 months more to write, come back, and then is the Lagan that you see today. And then, of course, Amir said it looks good, but let's. So in this case, Amir was a friend and a mentor. Okay, he wanted Amir to produce, and Amir Khan said that okay, I will produce, but it has to reach a certain level. Okay, and it does not fit now. um, It could be said that it was trash, right? But is Lagan a film trash? I don't think so. Most people would consider it a masterpiece. Okay, the fact that it's one of the
Yeah.
two or three
It's how
films
it got made. Yeah.
from India which has gone to Oscars, in terms of nomination, uh, and it's definitely one of the landmark films. Okay, in Indian cinematic history. So I'm saying that there have been any number of screenplays, any number of book ideas, which sounds like trash. Okay, which
Yeah.
sounds like great to the writer. A writer will always think it's great, and that is why he's gone to show it to someone. Okay, and then it's rubbished. Okay, it's he feels humiliated, she feels terrible, all these things, but then they work on it, and then they do something which excels. And it's the same person, by the way. So within us there's a lot of talent which needs to be tapped and mentored properly, and that's what mentors and consultants and guides do. They use your own prowess, your own potential energy into kinetic energy. They turn that. And that is why anybody who has money should value their time more than money, should put in money. It should make business sense, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. You shouldn't put money just because you have a lot of money and you don't value money. Not for that. But it should make a business sense that yes, if I'm putting 25 lakhs, if I have 3 lakhs or 25 lakhs, whatever, what I stand to earn is 2 crores. What I stand to earn is 20 lakhs if it's 3 lakhs, that kind of an equation.
Right.
So I will earn many times more than what I'm investing. And if you don't have money, which is the case of hundreds of entrepreneurs and startup uh, pioneers, okay, what do? You get money from somewhere. Yeah, you get money You get someone to put
Seed
in that
capital.
money, seed capital, seed fund, angel investor. You don't straight away go to venture funding, right? If you have a small scope there. So I think those are the ways in which things are getting done and can get done today. There are a lot of people who are using that, and things have become very different compared to 10 years, 20 years back, when things were
Yeah.
happening in a very different way. Well, these things were happening even then, but in a much less organized way, so to say. Today it's become more organized. You won't have
So at this
platforms,
point,
yes, like these.
yeah. So at this point, let me ask you, it's the right time to ask you, since you mentioned there are stages and maybe it will cost 3 lakhs to 25 lakhs to develop, let me use that word develop, or to flesh out the story, as you constantly use these terms in your mentoring sessions that I've overheard and lucky to be part of. But yeah, so what are those three stages or four vital stages that one can do with you as a mentor, and you will choose rather than me having the headache as the writer, or who do I choose as a script writer, who do will do the treat? What are these things? What are the three stages or
So,
four
so,
stages?
so,
If you could just
so
name it.
I'll come to this as part two of the answer. Part one, when you said that develop the story. Uh, th- uh, 5 years, 10 years back, when we used to have a project, we would have a script and we'll have a little bit of presentation, maybe a director's vision, producer's vision, and characters, okay, and the motive behind it, and things like that. These four five things comprised of a good enough presentation. Okay, today it's become much more complicated. The kind of questions that they want to know, whoever wants to invest, whether it's a studio, whether it's an OTT, whether it's a producer, is so the game does not stop after having written a good story or a good script. The next stage is a fabulous presentation. Okay, it should be absolutely killer. Okay, then there's a little bit of a sizzle reel or a promo reel, which is known as the look and feel of the film. It should give the person the feel of what you have in mind. So these things together now make a project ready to be reached out to OTT or to the studios or to the uh, producers, independent producers, and so on and so forth. So, but at the root remains the story, I would say. At the root, at the base, it remains the script. If your script is average, bad, shallow, no amount of great presentation will help it. On the other hand, if you have a great script, that's not enough today. You need to have a few more things to support it, to pad it. It's like, you have a six pack app and six pack body, but if you dress well, it looks well. Okay, you're more presentable as.
Brahmanandji, you very well said. You said, and that's the myth I think we all face is we know we have a great script sometimes, and then we sit with it and we don't know what to do with it, right? And that's where you come in as a mentor and you tell us the steps, logical steps, the structure to the madness, and how to pitch it to the OTT, right? So
Yeah.
you are guiding and hand holding as a part of that process to when we pitch it to the Netflix or whoever you advise, correct? You will be a part of that and you do that, right, as a part of the process. Am I getting it right? I think we lost the sound again. The net is like this, so we'll have to bear with it. Did we have we lost the sound again? I've lost some sound from your side, Brahmananji. Can you see me? You're frozen. I think it's at your end. We'll give it a few seconds while we wait for Brahmananji to come back. We've got two last questions, very brief ones. from the questions that we got, a whole set of them, which came from a lot of our writers and from various of the groups, consortium screenwriting groups and screenwriting content writers and storytellers who have written multiple questions. So the last two questions are coming up structurally as to how one can take our script into development stage and hence make the treatment, like he just said, a pitch deck. Now, a pitch deck is not the PowerPoint presentation that most of us think we should make. It is a very important
Hello, you're mute. You're mute. You're mute. You're mute.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear
Yes. So I
you.
had
Yeah.
stopped when the Wi-Fi was misbehaving. I was telling our
Hmm.
esteemed viewers and writers is that there is a method to this process, right? From development to writing a pitch deck, it's not the usual PowerPoint presentation that we think we can make. There is an expert view around how to make that and how it should look and feel, and also the sizzle reel. So these three, four components are required when you go and pitch in the meeting and set up a meeting with the OTT player, which Brahmanand ji will advise. It is fit to go here now at this stage in 2 months' time. This whole process takes anywhere between 6 to 8 weeks. Then we sit in front of the OTT player, and that's when we speak and we pitch our story, right? Like you rightly said, if you have a great script, you still need to do a lot more. Whereas if you don't have a great one, you will tell us about it right up front rather than get the person to spend the money. So that's the difference between a professional organization as ours with experts who are there to guide you and with a lot of ethical practices, which is very important. So I had since you
Yes,
got
yes.
disconnected, I took over.
Yes, I would also like to add is that what we have spoken is more generic stuff, but when you actually attach yourself and take it on, then we get into the nitty gritty. Everyone has been facing a different problem, you know, and so the solutions to that is very customized. One solution does not fit all. So there are many, even the questions that I had seen, some fantastic questions and delightful approaches that can be adopted to it. It's just that here we don't have scope to get into that much of detail. But the
Yeah.
moment you take it up, then one has the scope to get into specifics. And like I said, no two answers will be the same. No two people have always the same kind of a problem. So um, looking forward to.
Correct. So
Yes,
I have last two
yes,
questions. Very quickly, I'll ask you those two questions,
yeah,
Ramanji, before we log
yeah.
off, so that maybe it's a brief answer. So you just answered what can a person expect to get in the mentoring session and how to structure the project for a book. And I think one has to set up a face-to-face, one-on-one, and I will set that up once you're interested. And there's a face-to-face 1.5 hour session once you send in your script, and Brahmananji will look at it and peruse it and review it, and then give you a very candid. Be ready for the feedback where it has to be taken, but that's for our good, because so you don't spend more money on the wrong places and people and methods. That's a good thing actually. And if it has promise, I mean, the expert tells you that, and we take it from there. So the question that has come to us is from Diane B is for book publishing. Why is it that most people are now self-publishing? Is there a short answer to that one?
So it's just that the world has opened up. I mean, there is nothing saying that those people would have. It might have taken them more time to reach out to more publishers. Here, maybe 5 or 15 no's, in spite of having written good. So they have taken that entrepreneurial step and said that, okay, I'll publish it myself. What's the big deal? Okay, that is one. Secondly, if you have money, uh, again, if you have a story, if you have money, you can publish it, and you need not wait for the top 5 publishers to publish you and things like that. So these things are generally catching up. The urge to tell a story has quadrupled or multiplied 10 times, the urge to be heard. And its best examples is your Facebook, Twitter kind of social media, where the urge to share what you think, what you believe in, what you are going through, what you have gone through, and is very high. So I think self-publishing gives you that opportunity without the need or the the complications of waiting and going through 20 people and listening to a yes or a no, or well, it's nice, but if you change this, then it becomes good. Well, everyone will give you some kind of a thing, and the thing is that book gives you a stage. When you self-publishing gives you a stage. Self-financing in films or web series gives you a stage. When you get a stage, you have the opportunity to create awe. As long as you make feedback, as some friend of mine had said, you keep getting only feedback, you know. But when you have published a book, nobody says, this is not right, that is not right. 9 out of 10 people will tell you, okay, I didn't like it. Simple. Or I love the book. Simple. You know. So when films were made in the past, people would either like it or not like it. But when before it's going to the in its journey to be made, there are 200 opinions. Maybe not all always right, but you have to navigate those opinions because they are the people who will produce it, who will give you money, who will distribute it. They somehow play the game, not always knowledgeably, but they do. So
So,
self-publishing is because of that, yes,
okay,
and
okay,
it's a
thank you
good
for
good
that.
thing. I think. It's,
Okay,
it's a
yeah,
good thing.
because we recommend it, because don't keep those books waiting. Like Jack Canfield went to
Yeah,
126 people. I mean, you don't have to wait for that anymore. Today is different, in fact.
yeah,
On
that's.
that note, also, right, is the second question
Mhm.
related to this is, so is this the right time now if one has any kind of script, with, I call it, from a caterpillar to a butterfly stage, of a script, any part of that, is it a good time to go for it now? It's now or never, hence
Yeah,
navigating the high seas of
it's
the
I think,
digital wave.
yeah, yeah. The problem with a butterfly is if you tell a butterfly that you were a pupa once, butterfly will smile and say, "What rubbish." Okay, and if you tell a caterpillar that, well, your life as
You're
caterpillar
going.
is about to end and you're going to become a butterfly which will have beautiful wings and all, it can look at itself and say, really? So you need that clarity and self-belief inside to make you understand the journey between a caterpillar and a butterfly, that you are the same butterfly, but caterpillar is just a stage. When we write scripts, 14 drafts, 16 drafts that we go through enough depression stages. We go, fourth stage, you are on top of the hill and you say, wow, this is a great script. By the time you have written the sixth draft with 7 changes, you say, oh my god, where has the script gone? This is complete trash. It was not working. A few things were not working on draft 4, and now 10 things are not working. And then you tell yourself, hold on, this is an organic process. We'll make it work. So what is not working? It's not working. Why is it not working? It's not working because of that. What can be done? Like when I write scripts or I help people write scripts, I at any point of crossroad, I say that, okay, now we are stuck, we don't know. So let's think of 6 different ways, 10 different ways that can happen here to that character, okay, to that situation. And some of them look very exciting, but we don't take that because that is not what that will suit that character. So your understanding of character comes in handy here, that no, my character will never do something like this, though it's very charming. Okay, so you remain consistent, and this consistency grows, and over six draft, after ninth draft, again it starts looking beautiful. And then you say, okay, now is the question of just a little fat coming in, the organs have stabilized, so just a little fat coming in, and out comes a baby, which is uh, an 8-pound baby or 6-pound baby. you know
So
it's
very
not a
well said,
skinny.
Brahmanandji.
Yeah,
So you are the mentor who will be that, it's like a cushion and a pillow that a person feels depressed or script's not coming out finally. Banega ki nahi, pata nahi. But the mentor will make sure you are staying the track. And that's why we need that mentor, right?
yeah.
That's why.
Yes, as far as I know, like, to the best of my understanding.
Yeah.
That's a big disclaimer always. But then you do your best always. Ma'am. I mean, there's
Yeah,
never.
but the journey is quicker. So
Sure.
what
Yeah,
Ganesh
yeah,
also says for the book, nowadays you self-publish, the journey is quicker. It's in 8 weeks. You don't have to wait for that
yeah.
terrible artist task. So here I take Ramananji's advice. I take a whole consortium of artists who you have access to, and the whole business is around that. I don't need to worry about it as a writer. I'm just a writer, poor writer who just writes. Correct. So
There
I
have
at
been.
least hand over.
There, yeah, there have been any number of cases which I have seen where the person has been trying to write something for months, for years, sometimes 2 years, 3 years.
Mhm.
And when I have taken it up and gotten professional writers at it, and in 3 months there is something, and that person has said that now I understand what professional expertise can do. It sounds like a story, it looks like a story. Earlier it was reading like a child's book or something like that. So all that.
Right. So,
Yes.
no, very well said. So, what you just said is important. I hope all of you are making a note of this when you listen to this, video. Is that you do need that particular, portion where you cannot see the whole story in the beginning. You need to go that journey, and you need professional help, which is, guides you correctly and not takes you off track. There are many people doing that today,
Yeah.
and I would like, yeah. So, you want to say a little
No,
about that?
no, professional help, not the way it is understood in terms of psychiatrist. Okay, psychiatry. Okay, is okay. So this is
Uh-huh.
the different kind of a
Yeah.
professional help. This is yes, this is the professional help where you are in touch with people who know it, who have
Yes.
done it, and 9 out of 10 occasions they are right when they say something. There is no question of right or wrong. It's a question of perspective, but they will guide you well. When we
And give you
when,
access to the
yeah,
right people, right? That is important.
right, right. When we tell you something, it's not to make you feel bad. It's in the interest of the project, that your project show. I mean, I don't mind making you feel bad as long as your project is on air. Okay. At the same time, I would be doing you a disservice by praising a very average thing and saying that, okay, this is fantastic, because it will never see the light of the day as a
Yeah,
writer,
yeah,
or as a filmmaker
right.
or something like that. So one has to be very understanding, empathetic, appreciative, at the same time critical, wherever
Yeah, so
whatever is required.
right. So the access to these people, not many people have. So this is the professional way of doing it. Work with this team so that you're able to access the right people, and the mentor will guide you to tell you that this is the right writer or script writer. And remember, artists need to be paid. I keep on repeating this to people nowadays because everyone seems to. I don't know. I don't know this, Pramananji. It's very frustrating to listen to people telling you, writers
Yeah.
telling you that why do I need to pay somebody who will make a pitch deck for me? Or why do I need to, every artist is a human being
Yeah,
who's working for pay.
bec- because of just two reasons, that they have reached there, that is their expertise, and they make a good living out of it. So when Picasso was asked to draw something for someone, and he said, I'll charge, he said, how much? He asked how much, and Picasso said 1 million. He said, okay, done, but give me something. He said, I'll draw right now. So he drew it in 2 minutes, something, and he gave it to him. He said, this is for 1 million? He said, yes. She said, but you just spent 2 minutes in it. He said, yes, but I've spent 35 years to reach a stage where I can do it in 10 minutes, in 2 minutes, you know. So actually,
Absolutely.
any expertise, I mean, when consultants get paid such high amount in corporates, it's not because of anything else other than their understanding, their experience of how to approach it, how
The
to do it.
length and breadth and the depth of it all together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is for that. I think, and on that note, list the last one which came in. I'll read out the question for you. It is for all the audience. The question is slightly long, but I'm sure the answer is just one word when a chief mentor like Brahmanand says about it. So James Kane, who is one of our Dream Books films ardent question he sends in his inputs is he writes, I finished the first draft of my book, roughly 100,000 words, and was excited to get the editing part so I could make all those loopholes and redundant passages disappear. Easier
Mm,
said than
mm,
done, I'm finding myself struggling. I rewrote the opening chapter a dozen times, claiming it's not the right one. I'm always
mm,
dissatisfied with something or the other, and I
mm,
followed my critical reasoning. I
mm,
rewrite it, rewrite. Might not be the best idea considering how the
mm.
story generally flows. I'm wondering, how do you all of you do it? What's the expert view on this? Do you edit it until you're 100% pleased, or do we quickly edit and move on? What versions of your draft do you send to proofreaders? That's a long
Yeah. So
question, but a very
yes,
interesting one.
yes. So when you get satisfied, that's the time that you consider it done. That could differ for you, for me, for someone else. I broadly will have an idea of when you are ready. What he is indulging is in his personality type, who will never be satisfied with whatever he writes. So he'll be extra critical. He will go on correcting it, and there is no harm with that. It's just that it never gets finished. Okay, so
Ah,
it's known as analysis paralysis. Okay, in management terms, it's known as analysis paralysis. When you analyze it too much, you go on analyzing, go on analyzing, go on analyzing. Instead of that, take that step. So sometimes you have to learn to live with imperfection. Imperfection is not such a bad thing, as long as you have a mature viewpoint about it. So I think for someone like him, I'll advise, please do not edit your own stuff, because you will be spending endless hours and there will never be an end. You may run into 45th draft and you may still feel you would want to do 46th. Okay, so where do you end? At the same time, do you keep on working on the same thing? So there is a way in which you do enough, you are critical enough of your thing. You are not happy with the very first thing that you have written as masterpiece, but you reach a stage and you say that, well, more or less now this is 98% done, 99% done. You'll never be able to attain 100% perfection. Nobody can. Okay, but if you are somewhere in that 95 to 98 range, it's good enough for, good to go kind of a thing. So what's his name, whose message you wrote,
James
your
Kane.
site, James. So my two penny suggestion to him would be, please don't edit your own stuff. Have someone else to edit. A friend, a professional, hire someone, get someone for free, whoever you think is capable, hand it over, and don't overthink too much. In हिंदी फिल्म्स there's a wonderful dialogue, जब सोच गहरी हो जाए तो फैसले कमजोर हो जाते हैं मेरे दोस्त. तो सोच को उतनी भी गहरा करने की जरूरत नहीं है कि हम कुछ फैसला ही नहीं कर पाए. So I think analysis paralysis is exactly the same thing. Too much of thinking, too much of analysis will not lead you to completion of anything. Okay, nobody could have completed anything if they would have
Correct.
constantly wanted to improve it. And it's not to say that it can't be improved. It can be improved. Um, can Kurosawa's film be made better by Kurosawa? Yes, of course. Can Ray's film be made better than Satyajit Ray? Can Antonioni's film be made better than him? Yes. The answer is yes to all. But are they great as they are? Yes, they are great as they are. Because certain
Right.
times, yes, certain times, 100% perfection is not needed for something to be excellent. So you need excellence. You don't need perfection. Perfection is a pipe dream. You'll never be able to fulfill it. Excellence,
I
you
like to
must.
add what you said is so perfect. Yeah, you don't need perfection. Perfection is perspective, and so you don't need it because it doesn't exist. It's excellence that exists, and so you're right about that. And
Yeah.
also, Ray's films. You took that example. They are all the audience has decided it's very good. So you can keep on doing better versions, but if audience already is liking it, what more? Right?
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
all doing it for an audience. You're doing it for
And
someone
I've,
to receive
yeah,
it.
yeah. And I've seen a number of works of art, which suffers when there's too much of thinking that goes into it. A certain amount of threshold thinking has to be there. It's good. But when you do too much of thinking, then it suffers because it loses its spontaneity, it loses its purity, it loses its purity of purpose, and it's thereby its own integrity gets compromised.
Right. Okay, so now thank you so much. So that's a very what do you call it, pivotal place to we close this question answers. I just took a few from some Brahmanji, so who were very relevant to the session today, and it was only
Mhm.
to give an idea. We are inviting like real mentors do. We are inviting pitch decks from people so that we are able to showcase some of the good pitch decks that people are doing without much help. It will be nice to do that. We are inviting Dream Books Films is inviting pitch decks from people. What have you done? What have you pitched? Can we help advise them? And we will tell them this is not good enough. This is enough. This is good. So that as a competition or something like that, so that people there's a dialogue and there's a communication happening, so a lot of people are getting interested in, because not all are happy making pitch decks. That's not a great area that people like doing. They would take the mentorship. So the next few sessions will be with Brahmanandji and people who have never been in filmmaking, jumping into filmmaking, people who have never written books, have moved into books, and that those kind of live discussions will be there with Brahmanandji the next time as well on a panel. I hope everyone liked it. And so if there's anything that we need to say, our chief mentor can be reached through this platform, through Dreams Books and Films. You can write to me, you can take the email ID and send in your questions anytime. We will respond when you're sending in scripts. Brahmanandji, you want to add here that when people send in their scripts, they just send random notes. And maybe there's a method to the even the beginning. Sometimes I think there should be a method to the beginning, and how you approach somebody, even if they are a mentor. Not just pick up something and send. So it's maybe a two-page document of your synopsis, but do
Yeah,
take
but
time
then
to.
you won't know. Yeah, you won't know what everyone's exposure and understanding of a script or a synopsis is. So it's very difficult to
Right.
advise at this stage. Best is to see and then from there start wherever you are. If you are already at a mature stage, well, you will need to be advised for those fewer things. If you are absolutely at the start and there's a need of a lot of coaching, advice, mentoring, so be it. So it depends entirely on
Yeah.
who is at what stage of the ladder and start from there. Identify it, scan it, and then
Sure.
get into
So,
that
yes.
based
So,
on
you
that.
just heard Brahmanandji's nuggets and wisdom, and now you can have your face to face sessions with him. You have to book the time for your script. Please do that. It's rich sessions, and you'll always come away getting more than what you give, at least pay for. I'm sure of that. I've seen a lot of answers from people and saying yes. So, I must say thank you so much. We've taken 20 minutes more of your time, very precious time. Uh, and in these times, online is the only way we can reach you and see you on a platform like this. So thank you so much, Brahmananji, for your time, and looking forward to the next sessions and live sessions and with you.
Thank you very much, and all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So that was our chief mentor, Mr. Brahmanand Singh, who is a part of Dream Books Films. You will get mentored directly on a face-to-face session. Book that session if you have your script ready. Do not wait to take it to the OTT platform. We are here to help you. We are here to guide you on the journey. There could be a 4 hour, then 8 hour session, but this is not just a training or a mentoring session. After that, you get into the practical dealing of your script into a treatment, into a pitch deck, and take that journey. That is the most essential part. And if you have a great story, why not bring it to the digital content? We are looking for that. We are looking for very concrete projects to take to the OTT platforms, and we are here to help you. On that note, Dream Books Films, myself Candy, signing off. And these are those times where you will be pressurized, stressed, have many things happening, but don't stop writing, don't stop inspiring yourself, don't stop praying. I pray for everyone that we all, uh, come out of this healthy, happy, and stay close and stay connected. Thank you so much. Take care. God bless.